starting to get back into cooking. I made a challenge for myself. I bought a
Ooh.
physical cookbook and I'm trying to cook through it like Julie and Julia.
Ooh, what cookbook is it?
It's called I think it's called Mostly Meatless. It's by
Ooh.
America's Test Kitchen. It's like it's a simple one. It's kind of how we eat normally and I'm having fun. I like cooking from a physical cookbook actually. It romanticizes it a little bit.
No, I have a cookbook called The Evergreen Kitchen, and it's all
Mm.
vegetarian. I love it. It's all vegetarian and a lot of like Mediterranean inspired recipes. And
Ooh.
It sounds
also,
delicious.
I found a great hack today because I'm trying to also get back on my cooking game, and it's something that ChatGPT is actually good for. But basically, I had all these recipes pinned in my browser that I wanted to try, and I just put the links in ChatGPT. I had like 10 recipes, and I put the links in ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, summarize a recipe or like summarize a grocery store list for me, and it did, and it separated into like dairies, pantry staples, produce,
Oh
and everything in like 5
my
seconds.
God.
That is smart.
It was so
I
helpful.
actually running it back on ChatGPT really quick. So I'm redoing my website right now, and copy is always like the bane of my existence when it comes to anything, caption writing.
You're so
like,
Yeah.
good at it.
you say that, but like it's hard. I don't know. And I've been using ChatGPT to like give me ideas or like it's so amazing. You can literally type in like, here's my ideal client that I'm trying to attract. I am trying to reach this budget range or something like that. So you kind of like say what market you're going into. Write me a paragraph that will attract this ideal client and like incorporate all these things. Like I'm trying to do a little bit more fashion forward in my new branding. And I'm like, this client is super fashion obsessed. Like, how do I tie that in? Oh my God. It is like, I'm so excited to share my new website, but like ChatGPT has been the MVP of my website copy. It's try it out for sure of like, this is who I'm trying to reach. Write me a paragraph or write me a couple prompts. I'm trying it for TikTok hooks too, of like, write me a couple TikTok hooks to get this ideal client or something like that. But really helpful.
I did kind of utilize it last week for some social media planning, but I've been having a little bit of a crisis of consciousness with ChatGPT.
With AI.
Yeah. And I'm like,
I feel like it's,
I know.
I don't know. I like the quote where it's like, or the meme where it's like, I want AI to do my laundry and my dishes, so I'm free to be creative and do other things. And I feel like that's very much how I used it to create a grocery list. I feel like when it's something like that, I don't mind using
Are you
it.
talking
But
about the
I'm talking about
environmental impact?
yeah.
Yeah.
oh, the environmental impact. I thought you meant like the whole like the fact that it's stealing
I
our
know.
works to create.
I mean, it probably should be about that too, but no, it's like the whole we're
I'm saying
killing
same.
the planet.
But so it's like all of like
Which
the
I don't
50,000 emails sitting in
Oh
my
yeah. I mean, I fully like I
Oh,
don't
that's
think that
true.
like I think that there's plenty of other things that are doing this as well. It's just this one's so new that it's like top of
Yeah.
mind. Not that that should be okay, but I don't know.
After
Just every
working
time I use it, I'm like destroying something
after
somewhere.
working in sustainability at a large corporation, not to say that individuals should not try to do their best by the environment. However,
I hear this so often.
I
It's so
agree
sad.
with this, yeah.
the biggest problem is regulations and the corporations.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they're not willing to do anything about that, we are not going to solve the problem. It's
Exactly.
straight up.
Yeah.
Like, and this is like coming from somebody who for 2 years like threw themselves into this space, and it was like at the end of the day, even the small stuff we were doing at corporate was not going to scratch the surface on what
Yeah.
needed to be done. Again, you should always do your best, but
Right.
solving world problems are going to come via governments, which is 10 times more sad given the current situation. Anyways,
Yeah.
we're talking about mindset today, which is like, I don't know
That's
how we're
good.
doing, how we're all doing here.
Very top of mind.
Very
yeah.
top of
Welcome.
mind, yeah.
Welcome back to the Biz Banter podcast. This week we are back with Allison. Allison just got back from her trip, and
Yay.
well, at least I don't think we talked about it, unless you guys did when I didn't have my
told her to-
headphones on. But
Told her to save it for the pod.
Perfect.
Any
How was
trip
your trip?
highlights you want to share?
No, it was great. I just got back from Jordan. My husband has been wanting to take me for like pretty much since we've met because his family all lives in Jordan still. But we were kind of waiting till we got married, which obviously took a really long time. No, it was so great to finally go. We spent like most of the time like staying with his uncle and meeting all of his cousins and like his extended family. And then we took a few days to go to Petra, which was insane.
So
It was so
cool.
cool. And then same with like Wadi Rum, which is like where they film like Dune and The Martian, like anything like filmed on like another planet is filmed there pretty much.
Oh, cool.
And then we like went to the Dead Sea too, which was actually so cool. Like I had heard about the Dead Sea, how it's so salty and you can float and things like that, but to actually go in it was like it was actually crazy. Like it was hard
So
to stand
weird,
up.
yeah.
You were basically like horizontal and you were so buoyant.
Blows my mind just like how high up you are in the Dead Sea too, of just like when you're just letting yourself float and it's not like you're like, in a normal body of water where you're like just your head's above water.
No,
it's like no, your full self is like
and you can't
can be
push
upright.
down either. Yeah, it's like if you
It's
go, if you try to get
crazy.
your leg down, it just like shoots right back up. But no, it was such a good
Does
trip.
it stink? Like with all
No,
that
it
salt
doesn't
water?
stink at all. No.
Oh, that's so cool.
No, it doesn't stink at all. I was very careful because Zach has done it a few times at this point, and he's like, "Be very careful of your eyes. If you get it in your eyes, it's game over. It's the worst thing ever."
Yikes.
So I didn't.
Oof.
So that was fine. But no, it was such a good trip. Long travel day. It was like a 30-hour travel day on the way home, and we had to do. I've never had this before on an airplane, but we had to do an emergency landing. Like, so it was a few hours into the trip, and they had made an announcement like, if there's a doctor on board, please make yourself known. And we were like, oh shoot, I wonder what's going on. And then a couple hours after that, they were like, we're making an emergency landing in Keshevik or something, which Zach and I both didn't know where that was, but it turns out it was Iceland. Which is actually a beautiful spot to make an emergency landing. Like you could see all the mountains in the distance and everything, but it was so stressful because we landed and then we saw like the medical team come and they like had to like they came on board to evacuate the person, but they weren't telling us any updates. And
Did you have to deboard?
No, we didn't have to
Deboard?
deplane. We were all sitting on the plane. They just came in and took the guy, but they weren't giving us any updates. They weren't telling us like, oh, we're going to be back on track. And of course, the person in front of us,
the person's alive or not?
I still don't know. I hope they're okay in Iceland. I have no idea what happened, but it was in first class, so we couldn't see anything. The curtain was like blocking it all.
Damn.
But of course, the person in front of us, like while we were stopped, so the person in front of us was like, this happened to me on a flight out of Miami, and we were 7 hours into our flight, and they turned us around back to Miami. And I was like, shut up, I cannot hear this.
Oh my gosh,
now.
Right?
But thankfully, after 2 hours, we just took off again, so we were just like 2 hours delayed. But
oh, good, okay.
Yeah, that was an eventful flight home. But yeah,
that's hard on your way home too.
Yeah.
I was just like, please just get it. At that point, I was just so like, I didn't even care that we were 2 hours delayed because I was just so relieved that we were going to be making it home.
Going
all back. But yeah, no, it was good. Now I'm just trying to get over my jet lag. Zach's really sick. He's got like a huge fever. I'm hoping I don't get it. I have like a little tickle in my throat, but I'm like fingers crossed. It's nothing. I'm hoping it's just like the struggles of jet lag.
Yeah, my tolerance for getting sick these days is like 0. When somebody in my house is sick, I'm like, please don't get me sick. I feel like just as a business owner, it's such an inconvenience to be sick. It's like, I don't have time for this.
But yeah, how was your guys' week? Did you record a podcast?
We sure did.
What was the topic?
We were doing, because you were gone, we decided to do hot takes on the service industry just because that was something that you couldn't necessarily relate to. So we did a little round of hot takes there and it was fun. It was good.
Yeah.
The clip Alex posted on our socials today, though, is hilarious because mid-conversation, both of us I stopped paying attention and Alex lost her train of thought. And we were both just like,
we couldn't get back on track.
Just staring at each other, waiting for something
I'm like,
to happen.
whatever I said probably made sense, but
just exposed my toxic trait of every now and again just tuning out to the conversation.
Well, that's what's nice when there's 3 of us. Someone
that's the thing. Yeah, we definitely felt that without you here.
You know what, though? Before we dive into today's topic, we have to circle back on what we talked about.
No. I didn't do my homework.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to be like me and come up with something on the fly here. It doesn't have to be that hard.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Who would play you in a movie? We got to circle back.
Thought about this since the moment we turned off the podcast.
Me neither.
You guys haven't thought about things? I have like a whole list.
Forgot that even happened, and
Well,
I don't have an answer.
I am the worst when it comes to putting names with faces, names with actors. I can hear a name and recognize it. I can see a face, recognize it. I could never put the two together.
I think Allie just wants. Allie, just tell us yours.
Right? Yeah.
Honestly, cast us while you're at it. It sounds
okay.
Really...
This is fun.
Perfect.
Okay. So like I said in the episode where we talked about this is not doppelgangers. We're not going like one for one here. Okay, God, you guys are throwing me for a loop with having to cast you now.
You brought this up.
Yeah,
I know I did, but it was supposed to be homework, not.
I can't believe you would hold me responsible for something we talked about weeks ago. I obviously don't remember.
Allison.
Allison's been across the world.
that she couldn't be daydreaming about who would play her in a movie while she's talking about, oh, they filmed Dune here and all this stuff. Speaking of Dune, I would pick Zendaya. I just love her. I think Zendaya has such a fun energy. And okay, fun fact about Zendaya. We're just going.
Sounds like you just love it, Zendaya.
I just want to talk about Zendaya on this podcast.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, fun fact about Zendaya though. So we kind of like were past, so our Disney people, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but my Disney people were like Even Stevens, Hilary Duff, like that was like
Yeah, for
my
sure.
Disney generation, not the one that came right after it, which was like Selena Gomez, Demi Lovato, and like
I feel like they were still
Zendaya.
kind of our. I feel like Zendaya was after
They were cusped.
Selena and
Demi. Which
Demi.
was even yeah, exactly. So I just like was not aware of Zendaya when she was in the Disney world,
Same.
but
I didn't even know she was.
I did. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's where she started.
Yeah.
So I found out, I think there was like some interview I was watching of hers or something like that. She got really famous through fashion, which I thought was fascinating. So like she intentionally did this too. She was like, I'm kind of a nobody from Disney Channel. I'm trying to create a name for myself in like the real A-list celebrities, the Oscar contenders and all this stuff, which is like, she's now there. I would say she's pretty well respected now. So her strategy, and she works with this super famous designer, La Roche, who's just unbelievable. But her strategy was like, I'm going to make a name for myself by making a splash on all of the red carpets I'm on. So she was like, I don't care that I'm a nobody. I am literally going to any and every event that I possibly can. And I'm going to like really make a splash with my fashion. And that's how people started talking about her. And now she's like, obviously, like in all of these really well-respected movies and all this stuff. So I was just like, that is really cool. Like, what a
It
way
worked.
to like get your name. Exactly. It's like, what a way to get your name out there and like be creative about getting exposure without, obviously she climbed her way up with acting and stuff like that. But like a big part of people finding out who she was because of the way that she approached her red carpets, which I'm like, chef's kiss in women's strategy. I just think that's so cool.
No, that is really cool. And now that you say that, I do feel like I've always been aware of who she is, but I haven't really
kind of came out of nowhere
seen
a
her
little
or
bit,
anything. Because I knew she was like in Spider-Man, but I didn't see Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And before that, I'm like, but I always knew
I don't
who
think
she
I
was,
saw her in anything either.
Yeah, next thing I knew, she was like in Euphoria, and I was obsessed with her. And so I was like, oh, that's probably why. I was just like, I just love
that is
her
interesting.
presence in the red carpet. But yeah, Zendaya, easy. I just love her.
I mean, she could
you
do
guys
anything.
don't have any actresses that you're just like, I just love her energy.
Not necessarily like to play me. I have like favorites.
So picky.
I have, well, not like necessarily. I just have never really thought about it, but I have my favorite actors for like other things.
This can just be an ongoing thing. And as we come across actresses,
we'll bring
if
it
we
up.
think about it,
Oh, now I know mine is, well, if I can't pick Meryl Streep, it would be Zendaya.
I mean, that's just too opposite. I mean, two actors with a lot of range. So I feel like
I low-key like her, Meryl Streep, Jane Fonda. There's something about actresses of that age that are just still crushing it that I just like, I really feel like I'm like a kindred spirit with them. I don't like consider myself an old soul or anything, but like, I just really want to be friends with those women.
I mean, it's easy to admire someone like that who's managed to stay not only relevant, but also still like, they're still, they resonate with like even the younger generations.
Yeah. Anyways, so still homework for you guys. I'm not casting you. You guys can do it yourself.
Well, I feel like it's too like, you have to pick someone younger too, which is tough.
Why is it tough?
Because I don't know many younger.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think
Joey King. Do you guys know who Joey King is?
Yeah.
I'm not picking that, but she had like a funny like viral TikTok where she was like, people are starting to be younger than me, and that just doesn't sit right with me.
Dude, when was the moment that you guys realized there was a time when I was like watching sports and all of a sudden I was like, not only am I now the same age as these NFL guys, but so many of them are younger than me.
Yeah.
Like the NFL felt so old for so long. And then all of a sudden I'm like, shit, all these guys are younger than me. Like Travis Kelce is like on the end of his career and he's our age, you know?
I feel like I got that feeling a little bit more first with college sports of like thinking, they're my age. Like this is just, no, they're not. They're
now
10
they
years
look
younger.
like infants. Watching March Madness, I'm like, oh my God, have you guys hit puberty yet? Holy shit.
I know.
Babies. But we're
Yeah,
still,
I feel like I started getting that when I was maybe 20. I feel like 29 maybe, because I feel like when you're like
Yeah.
28, you're like, yeah, I'm in my older 20s, but I'm still in my 20s. And then 29, you're like, shit, it's all gonna be over next year. And then now I just don't care that I'm older.
I'm amazed at how much I still feel like a child. Like, I have a child, I'm raising a child. I still feel like a kid half the time. And like, yeah, who gave me the reins on
Very
this
much the
adult
millennial
life?
mindset.
Yeah, it's not our fault. We've been through so much trauma.
Yeah. Speaking of trauma, let's go into mindset.
Speaking of trauma,
Wait, I have a
yeah, go
question to
ahead.
kick it off with, unless you guys
No,
have
go for it.
something. So it's kind of two questions. And I'm going to ask the first question. I want you to kind of think about it. And then the second question is going to be about what you're thinking about, if that makes sense. It will make sense as we do it. So first, how's your business mindset right now?
Mhm.
Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, what aspect of your business or what did you think about when you tried to think about what your mindset was like right now?
Oh, that's a great
Mhm.
question.
That is interesting.
When I'm going to answer the second question first. When you said that, I thought of my mindset towards getting bookings. Like that always seems to be what's on my mind of like when I compare mindset or I think about my mindset, it's like how I attract new people, how I'm bringing like revenue into my business, not necessarily like the expense side of things when it comes to like finances, but like how I'm bringing traffic and bookings into my business is usually how I think about mindset.
Yeah, no, for me, similar for me, but growth just in general was definitely what I immediately thought about.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Alex?
Yeah, what do you think about?
It's the same thing of
Yeah.
my current income, which I don't love that as a
Yeah.
mindset like
Yeah.
pillar, but it is.
On the flip side of that though, like yes, you could say it's income, but at the same time it's also like it to Allison's point, it's growth. It's
Yeah.
bringing
That's kind of what I mean. Yeah, because
bringing new energy into your business too, you know? It's not
right.
just money.
Because even at like the same level of income, my mindset definitely like goes
Yeah.
up and down. I would love to say that it's not. I mean, it's always going to be dependent on external factors, but I would love it to not be a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we dive into like how we're currently feeling in our businesses, one thing I wanted to share with the audience is like the reason we wanted to do this as an episode is the three of us talk a lot, either on the pod or off the pod, about how much mindset and your mental health and like how your outlook on everything as a business owner really impacts things, like more so than it did when we were working our corporate 9 to 5 jobs. Like your mindset and how you're doing as a person can really influence, good or bad, how you perceive that you're doing as a business owner. So that's why we wanted to just have this little mindset catch up today. We'll talk about a few different topics, but I like your idea of kicking it off with just like where we're at right now. For me, so this year I think has just been so funky because I'm in this like very strange place where I feel in a very good state of like surrender. Like I'm not overthinking about outcomes of anything that I'm doing right now. I'm just sort of like riding the waves and like I don't know, it's weird. I feel like very in limbo, which I think is like very reflective of how I feel about the world and everything like that. I would say it's flirting on avoidance. Like there's a part of me that's like just wanting to do the fun parts of my business and not wanting to do the serious parts of my business, or like not wanting to worry about the serious parts of my business. But overall, pretty good. I feel like we're lucky in that what we get to do day to day is something that gives us energy, is something that we're excited about amidst all this bullshit, you know? Like when I used to have to like clock into my 9 to 5 during the pandemic, it would piss me off. Like I was like, why, when all there's this stuff going on, do I have to talk about stupid shit? Like, and I don't have to do that in my own business. I have a lot more control. So I feel grateful in that regard. And I think that that's helping with my mindset. But again, a little bit avoidant, I would say. How about you guys?
I think my mindset could be bad. I think I'm struggling right now. I think there was a few different things I was like looking forward to, or they were milestones that I was trying to hit, and I hit them. And I think I'm just always, sometimes it's hard for me to see the slow and steady pace that I'm on, the trajectory that I'm on, because all I really want is like a spike or like, just some surreal moment where it's like a huge turning point, which is just really, I think, not the most realistic mindset to like be searching for, but I can't help it. Like
Yeah.
because Zach was, my husband was just trying to say, like, you're doing great, like you're on a great trajectory, you're doing amazing. So many people would, be thrilled to be where you're at. And while I totally see that and can accept that and move on from this feeling that I'm feeling now, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hopeful for something. You know what I mean? You can't lie
Yeah.
to yourself. I can say that I'm being realistic to other people, but I can't lie to myself and say that I don't have those desires deep down within me. So I think there's just a few things that happened lately where, they went well, but not, I'm still kind of in the same position that I've been in. And yeah, I think I'm just a little tired and I'm still cruising along. Like I just have to keep going, but my mindset's been better.
I mean, I think to be fair, you wouldn't have that drive to keep going if that hope wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. It's like,
I think it's
keeps
like
me motivated in a
it's
way.
like that never ending conundrum as a business owner where it's like you obviously want to have big dreams, but your expectations around reaching those dreams or like the timeline around those dreams or goals or what have you, it's like how can you continue dreaming really big without getting down on yourself for not being further along?
Mhm.
That's so true. Yeah. And I'm still trying to strike that balance. And I think I feel okay. Like, I don't know. Something I measure my mindset in all the time is how often I'm like crying and having a mental breakdown. And honestly, it's
That's fair.
significantly less than it's been in the past.
It's a win.
Essentially, yeah, no, right. It's
Yeah.
a win. So
I
I can
used to
handle
do
these
that.
things better.
Now I'm on medication and I don't cry anymore.
Honestly, same. Actually, I was just thinking, like, why don't I? Yeah, that's probably for the same
It's
reason.
the SSRIs. Yeah. How are you doing, Alex?
I tend to feel the same as Allie right now. It's funny because as you were talking, I was gonna praise you for your positive spin on things, and then you said it's probably a little bit avoidant, which is the direction I was going with all of it.
Yeah.
Is that I've just not in a bad way. Like I think I have actually a good mindset right now. Is it the most growth forward mindset? Probably not, because there is that avoidance of doing the things that I don't want to do, or at least not having this clear direction for a lot of things and not even searching for the direction, I think is
I resonate with that big time. It's like I'm in this place where I'm just very content in the fact that I'm doing this full time and I'm kind of just like there.
Yeah,
just
kind of. Like, of course, I would love to hit some growth spurt, but I also am like, I'm also, and maybe, again, maybe it's the avoidance, maybe it's just like a protection of my mental health of just stay in this little bubble and then we'll be okay.
Gestures vaguely.
Yeah, to the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of, yeah. I was hoping you guys would have a different answer on the whole, like, where did you think of when you went to your mindset, only because I selfishly wanted like something else to reach for, but it's hard to separate mindset with how well your business is doing and to put a value on yourself in that respect. I do want to say that Allie, you said something about how we talk about positive mindset being something that really does propel us or can hold you back. I was looking up, speaking of ChatGPT, some statistics around mindset and entrepreneurs.
And hit us with the numbers again. Go.
Granted, this is like they had their sources. Did I verify?
Oh.
We can pretty much guarantee on this podcast that we did not do the due diligence.
I know it was a professor at the University of California, San Francisco, that did some studies. Anyway, I'm going to give you a downer and then I'm going to give you an upper. Entrepreneurs are 2 times as likely to suffer from depression than non-entrepreneurs. Cool. Yeah, not really shocking. Here's the upper. Positive thinking, and this is such a random number, positive thinking can lead to up to 31% increase in productivity just by positive thinking.
I believe
that too. Yeah, it all definitely makes sense. It's a lot harder to tell yourself in the moment.
Yeah.
But
that, you said it right there. We know that thinking positively, being in almost like that delusional mind frame of like, I am going to be successful. And I think there's an element of letting go of that. That's hard. That I think that can then backfire where you're like, I want to be delusional. But then to Allison's point, you're like, why am I not reaching my delusional goals? And you just get down on it. But like, if you're able to get to a place where you are positive, you're thinking delusionally, you have that belief in yourself, and I don't know, and then you put the action to it. I think that those are the points in my business where I have just seen the best growth, the biggest unlocks. But you can't stay there forever. I mean, and not
Yeah.
to say that you don't want to stay there forever, but it's just like life happens, and working on your mindset and like repairing your mindset during certain seasons is a part of the journey. You can't always be in that positive state of mind. You would be a robot. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very
Or
true.
and if
Go
you're
ahead.
pretending, it's gonna eventually catch up with you because, like you said, you can't lie to yourself. So
Yeah. Yeah. I want to take us back a little bit to when we were growing our businesses in the early stages, or just thinking about maybe the first year or two of your business. Can you guys reflect or recall what your mindset was like? Because I think when I think about those early days, I do think that a certain level of delusion is what propelled me forward, and like is what allowed me to grow as fast as I did. In the growth stages, I feel like I almost did better with this, because it was like I was going from nothing to
mm,
trying to get somewhere, and it was like everything felt like such a win. So it was just like fueling this, self-belief, this delusion that I had of my success. And then it was like after year 3 is kind of when it got like, oh shit, your wins are not feeling as big anymore, or something like that, that you aren't flying high on that positive feeling anymore. Just reflecting on that time for you guys. Just curious.
yeah, I feel like I went kind of because the whole first year where I became an author, it's a really tough industry to make it in, I guess,
Mhm.
and I didn't see really many people reading my first, second, even third book. And also that whole time I was also trying to find a corporate job again. I wasn't really thinking that
Yeah.
that could even be a path for me. I was just, I was hoping, sure, I was hopeful, but at that point I think I was still thinking like, especially after like the second book and I'd been on it for months and months and months and not seeing a ton of results, I was kind of thinking, oh, the only way to make it is to get like a viral video or something like that.
Mm.
And then it was actually TikTok Shop, just kind of being like a relatively early adopter of TikTok Shop, that kind of was my initial propelling forward or whatever. And that was like a huge, like it was kind of like 0 to like 60.
Yeah.
So, and I actually was like really happy with that. And it was a huge, but that's the thing, it was such a huge jump that I went from being like, oh, this isn't even like feasible, to making like actually income was nuts, and like actually having readers and people interested in my next books. So that I actually do remember during that time, I was feeling really excited, really grateful. Like I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I made it. Like I'm going to continue
Yeah.
this level of trajectory. And I've still, grown since then, but it's just at a much more even level. And now I can see how other things like just being present on social media every day, continue to write, having like a newsletter, like other things that aren't necessarily like a viral video can help me grow, keep that growing trajectory, but just not necessarily like a huge spike.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've not felt that same like initial like excitement and just, oh my gosh, I can't believe
Your
this.
first time.
I'm making
Yeah,
it.
but it was the first and only, it was just a huge spike. It went from being
Yeah.
nothing to like something. And now I have these like little, it went from being like a huge spike to now just like a steady trend line up. So I think that's maybe why I haven't felt that moment again. But I don't know. What about you guys?
Yeah,
Kind of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel kind of the same way. I wonder how much we're looking on it, especially Allie and I, because it's been a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more time, how much we're looking on it with rose-colored glasses, because I kind of think the same thing. Like at the very beginning, you announce that you're starting your own business and you're quitting your job or you're doing whatever, and everyone around you is excited and you're getting a
Yeah.
lot of like
You're
good
fueling on
feedback. And then,
so
yeah,
much good energy. Yeah.
right. And you're having these wins that are feeling bigger because they're the first time. And so, like, that all sounds like it was really good. I do feel like I almost don't remember this feeling, but I remember talking about this feeling with Allie, that we felt somewhere, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years in, the shift of not being afraid that we were going to have to go back to our other jobs.
Yeah.
So, like, in saying that, I know that there was that constant fear and worry. And I do feel like, and again, maybe this is the medication, but I do feel like I was crying a lot more back then.
I sure was.
So yeah, I do think it was both easier and a little bit harder of a mindset. But I do think this is more like the mindset slog time period when things just kind of slow down a little bit and you have to, and maybe it is, maybe this is like us having to try to get creative about where we can find different boosts to our mindset that isn't directly tied to the success of our business. And yeah, I
I
guess
kind of had
the growth as opposed to the
Yeah.
success maybe, but
I think it's really interesting how all three of us, well, actually, I didn't talk about this, but Allison talking about her kind of spike made me think about my similar experience where very early on in my journey, just because of a network connection that I had, um, I had just got connected with this couple that wanted to hire me for their destination wedding, and they were going to be featured on The Knot. And this all fell through because of the pandemic and everything. But at the time, it was like, whoa, yeah, it was like a made it moment. And it was like, oh, yeah, I'm on the right track. And like what you reminded me of, Allison, is like, yes, I was on that like delusional good vibes feeling, but I think it was kind of going hand in hand with outward success that I was experiencing. And it wasn't just coming from me. It was like there were things that were happening that were making me feel that way. And I think that that kind of does touch on the hard part of mindset, and especially as you get into the later stages of your business where you aren't in that like growth phase, or you know, you're always going to go through seasons like that. It's like, how do you pick yourself up even though you're not getting that outside validation that's satisfying you? You probably are getting outside validation. It's just not in the scale you want,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
yeah.
I think something I'm constantly trying to do better at is, in a way, it's kind of like manifestation, but manifestation, they always say, manifest the life that you want, like live as if you're already living the life that you want. And I think about that a lot because it's not always tied to money. Like if I
Yeah.
was super, my books were just selling themselves and I didn't have to do anything and I had all this extra time, I'd do things like go to the gym regularly or go out to dinner or spend more time with my family or like enjoy reading books again. I just feel like things, or like get back into cooking, just little things like that where I'm just enjoying my everyday life more, that sometimes I get caught up in when I'm so like obsessed with the hustle and trying to grow, that I don't realize that I can already do a lot of those things with my current life and my current mindset. And I find that when I do those things, like just live my life for me a little bit more, I feel a lot better. And usually like my business either stays the same or gets better when I'm in periods like that. So I think that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on right now, is I'm trying to kind of adjust and get my mindset in a better place, is more on outside things that maybe don't have to do with my business.
I think that is huge.
It is.
This is something like I talk to clients about, and I'm going to relate it to fitness because that's just where I'm at. But every decision you're making throughout the day, make it as if you were the person you want to be. Like if you want to have that habit of working out, go to the gym, make that effort to go to the gym, pick up a give really terrible examples now that I'm saying this, but you know what I mean? Like live as if you're that person already and make decisions as if you're that person already. And I think when you do that in your business, then it cuts out a lot of that negative noise because you can just make decisions, and I think it affects how you present yourself, how you show up in person, on social media, in your work in general, when you just act like you're there. It's a like not really a fake it till you make it, because we're not.
I mean, like
Fake it till you build it. Something
it's
like
having the phrase, the meaning behind it is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like it's the just show up for yourself, show up with confidence, and the success will follow. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that, because like to your point, you're not faking it. You are a good business owner, you are a good writer, whatever it is. But it's the confidence, and I think that confidence is like fueling a positive self-belief for yourself too, which is like that's how you're going to get to the next place. One other thing, kind of like an energetic phenomenon I've realized in my business. So my business is really fueled by inquiries, and inquiries are like, I don't know, it's like when I'm getting new inquiries into my business, I have this like this metaphor that it's like energy coming into my business. And then when I don't have inquiries, it's like, why is the energy dead? Like that's how I feel. But what I've noticed is sometimes when I get caught up in my mind about no inquiries coming through, or they're coming in slow or something like that, I have to then do kind of a gut check around me, like with my own energy, because either I am burnt out to the place of overwhelm where I just do not have capacity to take on more new jobs. So it's like, okay, I don't even have the capacity or energy to take on new people. So the universe is just looking out for me by not putting new inquiries in my inbox. Or there's like a block in my brain that I have to like journal out. Usually it's like fear based in some way. And then once I go through that exercise, it's almost like I swear to God, and maybe this is very woo woo of me, but I swear to God, when I do stuff like that, I'll get an inquiry that day or the next day. And it's like the universe is like rewarding me for like, yeah, you're getting on to like
Recognizing
that
Yeah.
mindset part that's like holding you back. But I've noticed that energetically where it's like when you are in a slump or you're not selling or you're just like you're in a place where it's feeling hard, looking around at, like almost doing a gut check with yourself of like, am I even in a place to like receive
Yeah.
from the universe, that kind of thing? I'm
Yeah.
talking about the universe a lot, but like, you know what I mean, in your
Oh,
business.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, I've always loved the idea of manifestation. And I feel like to anyone out there who thinks that it's woo woo or something like that, I would just say that even if you look at it just in the basis of the reality that we can understand and see, like if you have a positive mindset and if you're thinking forward to like living the life that you already want,
Mhm.
first of all, if you have more of a positive mindset, you're like you said, you're showing up better, you're putting better energy into what you do. Like, of course, if you are feeling better about what you're doing, you're probably going to be creating something better. And number two, if you're searching for the positive or if you're not searching for the negative, you're going to find the positive. And if you're searching for the negative, if you're down low with a low energy, you're going to find the negative. So even if you're experiencing the exact same thing, you will be experiencing it differently depending
Yeah.
on your mindset.
Like
Totally.
attracts like. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
also related to that, thinking about your attraction to other people too. It's like when you're radiating negative energy,
Mm,
you're not attracting anybody. Nobody wants that, and it's all subconscious. We're not talking about
yeah.
something that's active, but like it's like when you're radiating negativity, you're not in your kind of magnetizing energy either. So at the end of the day, pouring into yourself and pouring into, taking steps to get to a more positive mindset really is going to do nothing but help you on all fronts. How
Yeah.
you feel, people attracted to you and your business and what you're doing and all that good stuff. It's so funny because we can sit here and talk about this all day long. And
I know,
then
I was-
just like, I'm like, why can't I be like this?
I know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I feel like this episode is making me feel like I need to start journaling. But on that note, and maybe this is more of a mindset, like a day-to-day type thing, but if you're in a negative mindset for the
Mhm.
day and you're just down, what always helps you?
Getting outside.
Yeah. Going for a walk for sure.
Yeah. I need to like breathe some fresh air.
Yeah. 100%.
What about you?
I was going to say just going to bed.
But I will say, I have a couple of friends like that too that are like, today sucked, I'm taking a nap.
Oh my God. My thoughts
Yeah.
are racing if I try to go to bed with a
I
negative
can't
mindset.
sleep on a normal
Yeah.
night. So we're
I will say, if it is like during the day, sometimes a walk will kick it. But if a walk doesn't do it, then I know it's like I'm cooked for the day. Don't expect anything more from me. And tomorrow, I know I'm going to be better. That is something I feel like I have learned from experiencing it enough. Is that personally, I will wake up better
That's good.
yeah, that's really good.
when I'm really down.
I think that's kind of the point of this episode too, is like, how can you get to know yourself and what triggers you into a bad mindset? And also on the flip side of that, what steps can you take? And it's like, it's as simple as like what puts a smile on your face. Like it is not, it's not rocket science. Like truly, what are the things that you can do? Easy, simple stuff. I sometimes also just wandering around the city is something that is really good for me too. Like if I just need to like I think that's why I like traveling so much. It's like I think when I'm just dropped in the middle of a town or something like that and I just go from like store to store, books, the library, whatever it is. Just not having an agenda, not having it to do, like that also can kind of stimulate me too.
I'll give a more guilty pleasure one too. I feel like reality TV is something that specifically reality TV, it just helps me turn my brain off. I feel like if
Books are
I,
like that.
yeah, like if it's the same with me where I go for a walk and I don't really feel it, then I will sit on the couch and watch hours of reality TV and that helps.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to hang up the towel for the
Sit in
day.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Like I
Yeah.
think
Be
that
okay
that's
with it
hard, but
and
yeah,
not beat
like
yourself up for it.
exactly, which is like way easier said than done.
I
But I
know.
do think some days you just have to step away from it, and that's just that. So the one question I wanted to talk to you guys about was, I have a really good example of this, but I'm curious if you guys do too, where if you reflect back on a period of time where you did have a negative mindset and like just like some reflections about that. So like for myself last year, my God, like
Mm.
poor girl, I empathize with her, right? Like I just like I had things that were causing me to like freak out and like think everything was the end of the world. But like I don't know, it's so funny because the economy is almost worse this year, but my business is doing better. And I knew at the time, I knew that my negative mindset was adding to all of my troubles. And I look back and I'm like, a couple things come to mind. First of all, was it that bad? You know, I don't think it was. I think just in my brain, everything seemed like it was the end of the world. And number two, I think it was a real confidence issue for myself because I raised my prices pretty significantly last year. And I got into my head this like big imposter syndrome of like, I'm not worthy of the business I want to have. And it was like, it was a lot to work through. And I just look back now and I just reflect on the fact of like, first of all, I don't think what I was seeing or the truth I was telling myself was really the truth. I think that I was just seeing things way worse than they actually were. And number two, it's just like, I can see now what caused me to get so spun up negatively. I'm just curious if you guys have examples of that in your business that you can like reflect on. And you're like, yeah, my negative mindset was really just putting me through it for no reason, kind of thing.
I mean, I think about it more on a holistic level, just in the sense that I can't think of a specific time where my mindset was really bad, but I always have phases and I always go through seasons where I'm struggling with a really negative mindset and feeling like I don't deserve it and feeling like I'm never going to make it. And I always just think about like how far I've come. Like I look back at
Yeah.
like where I was 2 years ago and how I never thought that I'd be where I'm at now. And I just think about how that negative mindset only made my life worse in that moment. And if I had just been positive, like having a negative mindset never makes work easier. It never makes you work
Mm-mm.
harder. It never does anything of value. I know it's hard to stay away from, trust me. Like if I could just get rid of it
Right.
altogether, I would. So I'm still struggling with it, but that's something that I think of all the time anytime I feel myself sliding into a negative mindset, and to try to get it out of it faster is that a year from now, this negative mindset's not going to serve me in any way. All it's doing is taking away like the joy from other things I could be experiencing in my life, and taking away the joy from the journey too, because we're
Yeah.
always going to be on this journey. So we might as well
And like
enjoy it.
so cool, just the simple fact that we are on this journey too.
Yeah.
Like simple fact, straight up. Like doesn't matter how much we're making, just the simple fact that we're all getting to do what we love to do, I think that's huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, I had an answer originally, and I might say it because it still might make sense, but I do think that it's a little bit more situational than like mindset based. But I feel like the biggest times when I've had like this mindset shift and release from things is when I like actually physically release things from my business that I realize have weighed me down for months or whatever the case is. For example, when I did YouTube and I was like forcing myself to do it every week, and it wasn't giving me the return that I was expecting and that I wanted, and it wasn't feeling as fulfilling. It felt more like an obligation. And I think just remembering that it is my business and I can do with it whatever I want to. And when I finally like cut myself off from that obligation, it changed so much. And I think that there's a couple times throughout my business I've done that. Granted, I don't know. I mean, it ties to my mindset, but I don't know that that's like really specifically a way I got out of that mindset. But
Well, it's like it's
maybe
cutting
it
off that
is.
energy too.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
that definitely can impact your mindset in a good way or a bad way, depending on what you're looking at. But the place I want to leave us today, obviously on a positive note, is oh my God, why it happened again.
Did you forgot what you're gonna say?
No, I was like, I want to leave us on a positive note. And I think maybe sharing, no, this is what I was sharing strategy for like, if you do find yourself in a negative headspace, like what advice would you give the audience around like things to try to potentially get yourself out of it?
But for me, since I'm currently trying to get out of a negative mindset, I feel like understanding what triggers you, for me, as addicting as scrolling on social media is, it 100% triggers a negative mindset for me. And it's really, I feel like you don't even realize it's happening because it's you find you have a laugh and oh, this is so relatable and it seems so great. But it just slowly creeps in because there's like, you get something negative about the world, or I see someone else doing better than me, or all these like little things that start to eat at me. So what I do is I set like an app limit, so I can't go on it for more than 45 minutes. That way I can still do my business and stuff, but I can't just like doom scroll all day long. I know things like going to the gym and cooking at home more help my mindset, so I'm trying to reintroduce those things into my life. So yeah, I think just like understanding what brings you joy and what brings you down is really important, and then actually taking action to do those things and cut away what's draining you.
Mm-hmm. Journaling for me is a really big one too, adding on to everything that you just said. I think that whenever I'm just really in it, I think just journaling of like, what am I so afraid of? Like, that's usually the question I start with. And then I just kind of keep going layer by layer from there. But like, definitely journaling and just getting my messy thoughts out on paper, because then they seem less scary. I think too, once you like see them out, you're like, well, silly, that's not going to happen. Or it's just not going to be that big of a deal if it does. And then the other thing I like to do is try as much as possible to get into my own lane. And what I mean by that is like sometimes I will get into a negative mindset because I'm doing too much consuming of what other people are doing, like in my competition or people that are way farther ahead of me or what have you. I'm looking at too much content. I'm learning. Also education too. This is like a slippery slope I've fallen in the past where I'm like consuming too much education at once. And what I've realized that does for me is it reminds me of all the stuff I haven't gotten to yet, of all the stuff I'm not doing. And I feel like sometimes that can have a negative impact on me. So just another like little
Yeah.
2 cents there of like, yes, education is good, but like, you know, like you're drinking out of a fire hose with education probably isn't the best way to do it. And so when I get back in my own lane, I create my own shoots. I create writing or like, I just like it. I stop consuming and I start creating. And I think that gets me back in my own lane of like what I'm good at, what I'm special at, that kind of thing. That would just be another tip I would give the audience. Like getting out of other people's energy and back into your own energy in some way, shape, or form.
That's
That
a
was
good
gonna
one.
be that was gonna be mine. I feel like anytime I'm feeling maybe I think it's more so that I know what that feeling brings me when I'm creating or when I like dive headfirst into a project because I will dive headfirst into a
Yeah.
project. And so I think that puts me in my own, like you said, your own lane, your own space. It's something I enjoy doing outside of like definitely, I think the first thing that I will always do is refocus in on my like self-care routine. And I don't
Yep.
mean self-care and like, I mean like I'm drinking water. I'm
Like
getting
true
outside, I'm moving,
wellness.
like yeah, like basic wellness stuff. That's definitely my first go-to, and then it's to create because I do think that my biggest downfall into a negative mindset is the comparison game.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Also, that education point you just made is 1000% relatable because I will be like so geeky and excited to learn something and then I spiral into I have no idea what I'm doing. I get imposter syndrome time a million sometimes when I go down like the educational rabbit hole. So
I start doing the thing where I am getting educated and educated and educated, but I'm taking zero action. So all that's happening is I'm just floodgating myself with new information and not moving it anywhere. Like
yeah,
I'm just like, why am I like this? But yeah, I had to share that little like tidbit about education because I do think like, especially as entrepreneurs, I feel like some people like education themselves to death before they ever take any action in their
Yeah.
business, and I do think that can hang people up quite a bit. So I'm happy we did a mindset episode. I feel
yeah, that was good.
yeah, I think it's always something we're working on. We can sit here and give all the advice we want, but like it's a really iterative
Yeah,
thing.
it's
And
hard.
I just think like the best advice I can give is just remember that everything is a season. And if you're really going through it, like even if you do nothing, you will get out of it because your circumstances will change one way or the other. And
Also, none of us said this, but I'm going to end with this because this is why we're here in the first place. Our regular biz meetings and having somebody else who's an entrepreneur who's going through things is one of the best ways to talk yourself out of a negative mindset is to regularly have somebody that you're meeting with, you're talking with, you're co-workering with, you're getting coffee with or
Yeah,
not
that's
because
true.
we're all
yeah,
virtual, but like that finding somebody that you can relate to is also like almost number one huge,
yeah,
I
Yeah.
I
think.
agree. Oh, a
So,
great place to leave it. Oh my gosh.
yeah. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Do all the things. We appreciate your support.
It's really
Do all the
summarizing
things.
at this point.
TikTok,
what to do.
YouTube,
Forget
Instagram,
it.
No
Spotify.
intro, no outro. Just hang out with us and then leave,
We're getting there, but yeah.
Yay.
All right.
Well, good to have everybody back. And yeah, do all the things Alex just said and tune in next week for,
TBD.
TPT.
For whatever our
Okay.
topic is.
For an aforementioned amount of time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.